we have another exercise we need to do. Okay, let's do it.
I'd be really sore tomorrow.
All right, come on down.
Hit!
Good job.
To the apocalypse survival training.
DJ, hit the music.
Everyone sees now this fire is burning fuel.
Look through the hole. So it's yeah. No, don't be embarrassed. We're here to help.
If you hit bullseye once, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good shot. This distance, you're not gonna see any drop.
Wow, that looks like such an awesome, really fun preparedness and survival event. If only there was future events coming up in the New England area. There is, and you could learn more about it on learnfromluke.com. How convenient. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Gradowski of WeAreChange.org. A lot of absolutely absurd, ridiculous news to get into today, as of course we have very dangerous, maniacal, and even abusive plutocrats literally trying to control almost every aspect of your existence. Yeah, we're going to talk about that plus a lot more, but before we do, the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is from our second channel. You only saw a snippet of it. To watch the full video, click the link down in the description below, and you get to see all the amazing fun we have during our real-world, real-life survival preparedness exercises, training drills, which you get to participate in and are a lot of fun. The reviews are in from this event that we just did a few days ago. You could read all about them on learnfromluke.com, but we are doing a future event this August 14th in the New England area, and if you're looking for an adventure, if you're looking to learn some absolutely crucial survival and preparedness skills, this is the place for you to do it. We're doing this with absolute professionals, and whether you're interested in Dakota fires, making your own charcoal, traps, snares, CQB, live fire training drills, this is the place for you to go to. LearnFromLuke.com. Click the link on it right now. And by the way, in the future, all of the classes will be up on LukeUncensored.com. So if you're already subscribed to LukeUncensored.com, you will be getting videos of these classes very soon. Now, just jumping into the news, obviously a lot of controversy has been surrounding the governor of New York, who a lot of people for a very long time knew was an absolute creeper. Yet still he remains in power, where even the president of the United States, who himself is known for, let's just say, not always having the most congruent social interactions with people, when you have someone that was previously described as a creepy uncle literally telling you to quit your job because of how creepy you are, you know you have a serious situation on your hand, and that's the current situation with the governor of New York, that multiple women came forward and said that he touched them inappropriately and made them feel uncomfortable. The governor's response to this, it was, hey, I make everyone feel uncomfortable. Here's a montage of me doing this, which a lot of people are labeling as an absolute tone-deaf response here. Now, the governor is still somehow deciding not to resign, not to step down, as some people are labeling him a circus act, and one of his accusers even came out and said that he clearly doesn't live in reality. And I think that's definitely true, but if you think this is bad, wait until you find out what Andrew Cuomo did to elderly people last year. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more in just a little bit, but that should be essentially the bigger controversy here, and I don't know why it's not. But if it's not elderly people that Andrew Cuomo is abusing, it's a lot of people around him, including the nurse that was nasal swabbing him. Yeah, this story is just, again, it's censorious and absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you, but the bigger takeaway here is the involvement of big-time mainstream media networks like CNN, who pays millions of dollars to the brother of the New York governor, who, very not surprisingly, didn't talk about this publicly, talked about scandal on his news broadcast last night, if you could even call it that. There was even an awkward transition between Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon that, of course, started his broadcast with these major serious bombshells against Chris's brother. But another aspect to really hone in here is that Chris Cuomo was doing damage control and was providing confidential information to state operations, and apparently even drafting statements for the governor, helping him trying to squash and get rid of these very serious allegations against the governor. So CNN actively played a major role in suppressing and squashing very serious allegations from many women while trying to protect and harbor someone who is alleged of hurting them. CNN still somehow brazenly is standing by Chris Cuomo and his actions here, which highlight yet another disgusting episode in the mainstream media network that is promoted on YouTube while its competitors like independent media are eviscerated. Another mainstream media news organization that has an unfair advantage against everyone else here on YouTube is, of course, also the New York Times, that just recently deleted hundreds of Chinese paid propaganda advertisements from its website, which it's alleged to gotten millions of dollars from after posting communist Chinese government propaganda that was pawned off as real articles by the New York Times. This, as of course the New York Times now officially cut ties with the communist Chinese party government media organization that the New York Times was literally regurgitating propaganda for. In other disgraced mainstream media news, we have the editor-in-chief of Germany's top newspaper coming out and publicly apologizing for the fear-driven coverage that his network was providing, where they were literally telling children that they were going to kill grandma if they don't follow all the government mandates, regulations, and restrictions that they want on them. At least in Germany, there is some kind of semblance of reality and some kind of retribution for the horrible, misleading, dangerous actions from the mainstream media, while here in the United States, organizations like the New York Times and CNN actively still get promoted by big tech social media. If you're a YouTube moderator watching this, you're literally helping facilitate networks that knowingly publish misinformation, propaganda, fake news on behest of the communist Chinese government. You're literally promoting and pushing an organization that has actively had employees that protected abusers of women who tried to cover up that fact, which you should highly consider, especially since a lot of the YouTube moderators punish independent media and prevent any free market competition to the mainstream media, which has a monopoly of control on this platform, on other big tech platforms. If you're a YouTube moderator, the repercussions of your moves should be fully understood. And hey, it's your conscience. You got to deal with it. But clearly, the actions of the mainstream media that are being promoted are absolutely disgusting and awful. That's why we provide an alternative here on WeAreChange.org, and because we continue to get punished for daring to question the narratives of the New York Times, of CNN, because of the wide sweeping censorship, we started LukeUncensored.com. As I mentioned before, there's going to be a lot of personal survival classes on LukeUncensored.com very shortly, along, of course, with almost daily videos of all the information, of all the things that we cannot mention here on this platform. Sadly, there's issues that we can't even discuss that, of course, the New York Times, CNN, other mainstream media organizations could discuss on this platform with promotion, with monetization. We can't even discuss so many important issues. We discuss them on LukeUncensored.com, where we strive to empower you with information. If you haven't checked it out yet, click on it right now. We're going to have another video waiting for you today. Now, I think it's fair to say that the situation in this world is absolutely perplexing. It's absolutely confusing. We have seen the politicization of the medical industry, and sadly, a lot of people use tragedy in order to push a narrative and agenda that benefits them. Who's them? Well, obviously, the only people that benefited from the entire saga that the world has been entangled in since last year are, of course, the super billionaire class, the corporatists, the bankers, essentially, in another word, the ruling class. And they have pushed nonsensical policies, restrictions, mandates, lockdowns on its citizenry that are absolutely backwards. A lot of them don't make sense. Let's just be honest here, especially with what's happening in Australia, which is under total lockdown, and health officials are literally telling people not to talk to each other. And now we have a new admission from the Australian Health Office that is warning grandparents not to go anywhere near their grandkids, as of course they strive for a policy that's going to have zero sicknesses, which is again, something that clearly doesn't work, hasn't worked, and a policy that only punishes people, treating them like criminals when they're just trying to live their lives. And again, this is just one absurd recommendation and requirement that if you don't follow in Australia, you will go to jail for. And here in the United States, it looks like the United States is trying to adopt the Australian model, as of course discredited news organizations have, quote, medical analysts on that are cheerleading Australia while trying to implement similar policies here in the United States. As of course, we recently had Lena Wen, the CNN medical analyst, come out saying that we shouldn't trust individuals who don't take the procedures that we want them to take, and that still, at the same time, everyone still should be wearing masks. This is all on the heels as discredited New York Governor Andrew Cuomo came out a few days ago and asked New York City to implement a domestic medical passport system in New York City. The mayor obliged, did what the governor wanted him to do, and implemented a domestic medical passport system where people will literally have to have their papers checked for most indoor activities in New York City. You will have to jump through government hoops and do whatever medical procedure they want you to do, even though your medical doctors may tell you not to do it, if you want to have any semblance of existence and life in New York City. A city which predominantly its black community is the one that hasn't taken this procedure and will be mostly discriminated against with this policy. Other employees that are being extorted, rushed, pushed to take this procedure, which might not be good for them, which might hurt them. As of course, many people have allergies and can't take this. Some people have natural immunity. Some people have religious exemptions, but that is beyond the case because New York City doesn't care. So don't a lot of private institutions like universities and major corporations like Tyson's Food, Microsoft, Facebook, Twitter, Google, and other major companies in the United States that are mandating that their employees must take this procedure. This, of course, as the science is still not settled, it's going back and forth. And as we're learning from countries that do take this procedure in record numbers like Israel, like the United Kingdom, that this hasn't worked, especially with the latest announcement that Israel most likely will be going in another lockdown this coming September, while, of course, having the highest population than almost any other country in the world that has taken this procedure. Again, I can't even mention this procedure, what it is, but what we're seeing is the absolute cattling, the absolute control, the absolute micromanaging of almost every aspect of our existence with this domestic identification papers please passport system, which surely will be integrated in America's own social credit score, as documented by The Hill in their article that has been titled Coming Soon, America's Own Social Credit Score, which of course signals a total loss of control, a loss of sovereignty, as we're moving into a full authoritarian government control of our every existence, which even many prominent people who are for this procedure, like Louis Roseman, who is a fellow YouTuber, just released a video saying that the same government that locked him down, that destroyed so many businesses, is now adding an extra step of compliance that he needs to take to discriminate against his potential customers, which of course will hurt him in the long run. And he announced that as a New York City computer shop owner, that he will not be complying with this new domestic passport system. And I think the points that he makes here are absolutely valid. If you haven't watched this video, you definitely should. I'll also link it in the description below. It's definitely a video that you should share with your normie Kyles and Karen friends out there. But with all of this, there's also a huge layer of hypocrisy. The same Democrats that don't want people to have identifications to vote want identifications and papers for people to go to the cinemas, to gyms, to restaurants, to shops. This is filled with hypocrisy and, of course, a dangerous step towards eviscerating personal liberties and punishing people for not complying with every ridiculous mandate that the government comes up with. Also, in related news, in California, the recall of the current embattled governor of California, who is also widely discredited for his horrible policies that have hurt and punished millions of people, also just announced that his state will be doing mail-in ballots for his recall election, which of course signals some very serious troubles and concerns ahead. And while jackboot police officers and government bureaucratic agents stand in front of grocery stores, shopping centers, malls, demanding to see your papers, demanding to see your accreditation, demanding to see that you jumped through all the government hoops that they wanted you to jump through, that they did whatever they wanted you to do, even if it wasn't good for you. While all of that is happening, the southern border is wide open, and a federal judge just ruled that Texas troopers can't even stop the transport of migrants from Texas into the United States. All, of course, as people are walking through without tests, without proof of any medical procedure, and are becoming future Democratic voters. America is surely headed into the way of Australia with total control grid evisceration of personal freedom, and that is absolutely the wrong way to go. We should be going in the case of Sweden, that is recording absolutely record low level of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths from this, does not have any severe lockdowns, and valued people's personal freedom and discernment over a top-down Big Brother Orwellian police state that historically has ended in horror and catastrophe. Again, what's happening in Sweden is not talked about in the mainstream media. It should be talked about. What's happening there, what they did, what they implemented is absolutely crucial, absolutely important. What's happening in Australia is absolutely bewildering, absolutely dangerous, and that's my personal take on it. If you think I'm wrong, dislike the video. Let me know why in the comment section below. If you thought I provided some kind of service or insight that you wouldn't normally get, share this video with your friends and family members. It's more imperative than ever. Literally, just double-clicking the video, sharing it. It's so important. Again, check out all the videos I have linked down below. It's really the video that I played in the beginning. There's a lot more. It's a lot of fun. Even if you're not going to participate in these events, check out that video. It's definitely worth your time. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.